studio. Catch them all in Muse Talks.
Welcome back to Muse Talks. In today's episode, we have Miss Maria Mahat, the author-publisher from Ungu Pen. Thank you, Maria, for coming down.
Welcome. At last we managed to drag you.
Yes.
Thank you
to our studio and do
It's
it.
been a while. Just want to know how you started, how I met you. You know, you were in TV before. You took a break only about 10 years ago. Is that correct? You started on your own as a publisher.
Close to 10 years already.
Close to 10 years,
wow.
yeah. So there's a lot of things that you can share with us. So take us through the journey of TV producer back then.
Okay, so being a TV producer, director at, MediaCorp lah, but then it was called something else, right? I think, I started working around 1994. So I was there for a decade actually. But I did leave for a while to work in Malaysia. And then I come back.
Okay.
Yeah. So after a decade, my priorities changed. So I got married. I became a mother. So, broadcasting industry, right?
Yes.
The hours are just crazy. I have to work weekends, nights and so on. So I decided that, I need to change lah. If not, my son won't recognize me. Okay, because there was an incident lah that happened that he didn't want me, after I came back from a work trip to China to do some recce for production. And 7 days later when I came back, he refused to have me hold him. And he was crying throughout in the car. So we had to stop the car and my husband had to take him away from me and console him. So that incident made me reconsider my job. So I decided then that yes, I need to leave this industry. I actually embarked on early childhood education. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Somehow you want to do business, but you still have no idea. I'm not like trained business person. I did a lot of prayers lah, istihara lah. I did my istihara. So one of the sign is actually Surah Al-Qalam. And kalam means pen, right? So, and at that time somehow I have a story in my head. And I told myself, okay lah, since the sign say pen, maybe I should write this story down and do something about it lah. At the same time, when I was scrolling Facebook, there was a person who was saying that, you can publish at Amazon a story on your own without publisher and all that. So I actually got his content on how to do it. So I actually posted a story lah, a fiction.
How long is that story? Like is it a short one, synopsis, or the whole thing?
Yeah, so this is a story.
That's your first one, right?
Yes,
How
my
long did you
first.
take to write that and
I
post it
think
up on Amazon?
Between 3 to 6 months, I wrote this.
That's quite a long process.
But I was told that it's quite short.
Okay.
Also, it was quite short. So it's called The Truth Seekers. And at that time, I didn't think I wanted to be a writer. I didn't even plan to go into this industry. So I thought, okay lah, write this story, put a
Fake name. pen name.
pseudonym, and then get over and done with. And then you realize that, what's the point of writing a story if nobody reads?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least get some people to read and give you some feedback lah. So I posted on my Facebook and say, okay, I've done this story. You can buy the ebook from Amazon. So people maybe was a bit surprised. Oh, Maria wrote a story.
Curious,
Why suddenly? Wow, somebody actually wrote a story and it's a novella. It's in English. And I position it as a halal romance. Halal romance. Because if I say it's about something that is serious, by right? So halal romance. But it is halal romance. But at the same time, suddenly people start like, wow, okay, why? Maybe why is she writing? Suddenly people get curious. They also ask, got physical copies or not? So Amazon at that time, they do have some physical copies. So this is my very first copy where Amazon actually print out. So I sold some. And then after that, I actually managed to get it into Wardah Books. I was given more feedback. So I thought, okay lah, since got some kind of traction, people seem to want it. So I actually redid the whole thing. I give it a new cover.
How come this one looks a bit more local, the cover? That one looks a bit more
because you have exactly. That's why I prefer that cover actually.
This one looks. This is Haji Lin, what?
I know, but the treatment on it looks more international.
Anyway,
this is done by me, and it's very
see,
like
that's
just
why
do
it's
on
nice,
PowerPoint
right?
and then
Yeah.
use whatever filter.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's a very good attempt.
So this, I had a student who helped me to do it lah. I actually get someone to edit it again, make it tighter, and then I actually published it in a physical form. So at that time, okay lah, just put under Ungu Pen lah. I came out with the name Ungu Pen, and then
So pen, was it from the Kalam Surah?
yes, from the Kalam. So after this book, The Truth Seekers at Haji Lane, so my friend also got excited, and then
Yeah.
she actually helped me to do a reading session at Wardah Books.
Oh, nice.
This was what, 2015, 16 already?
This is about 2015, 16, yeah, 2015, 16.
Is
So,
this based on personal stories? Because usually a first book from, you
I
know,
mean, not
new
my
authors.
personal story lah, but of course some of the maybe is related to some people's story lah.
okay.
You know.
You never had any formal training or how to write a book course or something?
In terms of writing it, I think you know that you need to have like cliffhangers,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
in
correct lah.
TV
The-
production,
yeah.
right? I mean, I had worked, you know, with writers.
I
Right?
see.
So in that sense, I do have some understanding lah
Okay,
of how
okay.
to write a story lah. But it's just, of course, it still require some form of editing. So I got someone to help me with that. Not just the grammar, but also if you engage a publishing editor, they help you even in the whole structure of your story.
So this is Ungu Pen's first book.
Maybe it was under Ungu Pen, but I
But
did not
wasn't
even
published.
register
Okay.
the company yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it was published by?
Ungu Pen. But I did not register it
Okay.
as a company yet. Yeah.
Okay.
I registered the company towards December. Then I started Ungu Pen in 2016, 1st Jan. I was also doing teacher training at that time.
right.
And I was training early childhood teachers. So some of the feedback that I get from these teachers is that we do not have Malay language resources for the early years.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought about it then because there was some funding available from the National Heritage Board. So I applied for funding to get
Right.
the book
Children's
out. So I
books.
wrote a children's book, and this was
What's your first one? At that time, really no books for kids. No Malay book.
What we know is that we had books like Tang Kancil,
Yeah.
which I
Very
think in this
dated lah.
in this day and age we want something probably more
Yes,
contemporary.
correct. Yeah.
And then some of the books they tend to buy from Malaysia,
Malaysia, yeah.
which perhaps doesn't give the same context.
Right.
Our kids may not always need to be having HDB flats in the book,
Yes,
but
correct.
they don't know anything about the sawah, you know,
Yeah.
the padi and the kampung life, right? So we want something that reflects our context and culture lah.
Sure.
So that's how this book got written.
There are what?
Saga Sits in Our Pockets. Basically, this story talks about a bit of Singapore history and Malay culture lah. So we have the fact that the children, these two boys, they are preschoolers. They went on a learning journey or rather excursion to Malay Heritage Centre.
And then got transported back.
Yeah, transported back, a bit of transported back in time to show
Cool.
that this used to be a palace for the Sultan, and then what the lifestyles were. They saw a kampung,
Right.
and then how they play some games, the congkak, and also eat some local delicacy, and also about the Masjid Sultan, what it is, you know. Even though at that time I still don't think I should go into publishing, because when I published my first novella, people say, why are you going into a sunset industry?
Publishing.
Yes.
Publishing, yeah. And I think the reason why they say sunset is because people are not reading books.
Yeah.
People are going into digital e-books and
Yeah,
so
that time
on.
ebooks are hot topic, right?
But I also realized that all this information, all this data is probably from the US.
Yeah.
We actually do not have local data at that time to
Right.
say how much are our people reading or not reading, or reading e-books
Correct.
instead of physical
True.
books. So I realized that actually the e-book hasn't catch up. You know, people still want to read physical
Physical
books, and especially for the younger generation,
Yeah.
the children, you have to expose them to
Correct.
physical books, not
Yeah.
e-books, right? So after the Saga Seed book, then like, okay lah, can I say the rest is history?
The rest is history.
The rest
Look
is
at the
history.
whole pile of books that she has
Yeah.
published.
So those kind of challenges, do you foresee them or you just face them when it comes? When you're transiting right, from your early childhood career
Yep.
and then to writing, I'm sure you didn't see all this coming,
I don't
right?
see all this
Yeah.
coming because I don't even know what I want to do. I'm still like that young teenager. Like, what am I supposed to do in life? I'm still got that, So like, I want to do business, but what is it about business that you want to do? So in the end, I went into it head on, but I was very active in the sense that I was still willing to learn, even though I'm that age, Yeah, so I went to festival. I went to learn lah. I went to basically learn online. I went to talk to people. I went to different events and activities like the book fairs, the festival, and so on in the early days, just to learn how to write a book. Because even though like this book is published, then I also discovered a few other things about our industry lah. So I learned along the way. That's how, I guess, if I had a mentor or if I had really wanted to go into publishing, maybe the route is shorter, but it's not. I'm still learning, so that's how it is lah.
Yeah. Then as you go, and especially like in this kind of medium, the medium itself, it changes.
Yes.
From physical copies to digital, and what
And
else
all
do you
the-
want to?
And all the new things that are
complement.
coming
Correct,
in right
that's
now.
right, yes.
Yes. So, like I said, when I first did my book, people like questioned me, why are you into a sunset industry?
Correct.
Then I also doubt myself, like,
Yeah.
why am I doing this? And when people say people are not reading books, people are not reading physical books, so why am I doing this? But I guess that calling came because of the need to fill a gap. I feel that there was a dearth of Malay language picture books for the young. So I was really going straight into that market because I was in the early childhood industry. I hear the teachers, I hear the parents, and I also face like, we do not have resources
Correct,
in that sense, enough resources to do all this. So in a way, okay lah, I felt that after my entry, then suddenly like everybody wants to publish a book.
Seems like it.
Seems like it, right? Do you feel that way? I feel that way. I mean, I'm not saying that I started a trend or anything, but then it's like suddenly something that has been sleeping all these years triggered and wake up and like wanted to do something.
Author, publisher, genre.
Same
right?
author, publisher, So, in the early days also when I decided, don't know what business to do, we decided to open shop also.
Yeah.
Very small shop at East Village Mall to sell my books lah. Like I said, the big bookstores, they don't want to deal directly with author. You have to actually go to a distributor
Yes.
to get your books into the bookstores. And sometimes the charges are really high. So when I tell people that some distributors might charge 60 to 70% off your retail price, they get a shock. Yeah, because the bookstores might want 40% and they also want to earn something, right? So, okay lah, so my husband, uses his compensation money to, open the stall. But I have too little books. I have too few books. And then, of course, that's when I started meeting more local, authors. And I asked if they would like to sell at my shop.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. But after a while, I realized that, yes, I still have very few books. I cannot... we don't have enough lah. I mean, the shop is small. I was selling other stuff like scarves and so on.
Yeah.
So, and there wasn't traffic also. So we decided to shut down the store after 2 years.
But as a whole, I think there's a lot of support for the literary works in Singapore, correct?
In the beginning, but I think there seems to be a bit of a slowing down. So
Maybe
even
there
I
are more
get
players now?
Probably there are more players. I get rejected also for funding.
Yeah,
So
not just you.
so in that sense, we have to self-fund ourselves. So we have to work hard lah to bring in that funds to create more books, right? So I also realized in the last few years, I think the reason why I'm still here is because I think if you can see my latest books, they are mainly Malay books and they are mainly aimed at getting young children to read in Malay.
Yeah,
So it's very
important
literacy
actually,
based because I think that's where I'm heading lah for now. Even though I still want to create fun books, but at the moment it's literacy based. It's still fun.
Yeah. I stumbled upon these soulful stories on one of your posts. You mentioned, any aspiring authors or writers who want to embark this journey to come on board on this Soulful Stories. So you have to pay like $50. Is that how does that work?
Okay, when we first started the Soulful Stories, if I can say it in a nutshell, it's like chicken soup for the soul.
Yes.
But for Muslim
Yeah,
perspective.
halal chicken soup.
Yes, halal chicken soup for the soul. So when I first decided to embark on this, at that time I have someone that came into my life, and she was very excited to do a ad promo for me to get the writers in. So I think the $50 was just a commitment fee to get them to say yes, I want to write and I will send you a story. Okay, it's just a commitment fee. It's not even will cover anything, right?
Not even the
So
chicken soup.
Yeah.
precisely. Those who pay $50, there's at least one or two that actually didn't submit something at the end of it. But so from this about 23 people who wrote their story, so we published it and it's meant to heal and uplift the souls
That's really nice, actually.
Yes.
So is this still going on?
I've been trying to get a second book out, and I have done 2 different promo, and nobody came back.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I will have to be one of them.
I had 1 or 2 stories that submitted, but because it's just too few, so I had to tell them, sorry, I am not proceeding because no one submit their stories anymore.
You also run workshops for writing workshop?
Yes, so of course, over the years, we have people like asking me, can you give me tips on how to publish, how to write, how to do books and so forth. So after a while, I realized, I cannot be, giving advice to a lot of people, but after a while, they don't even do anything.
about it.
I cannot go out for coffee anymore. Sorry, I got no time. So I charge lah. We can have an online session consultation. But then because some people I know, they are actually not ready. They just have an idea. So I do not want to waste your time or your money, but you can learn all about this first. Then maybe you're ready, then you can come to me lah.
But you got to tell these authors, I guess, especially in Singapore, you got to be practical, isn't it? Who are you writing to? You write also nice after that. Anybody buying it? The business side of things.
Yes, correct.
That is probably why a lot of people don't want to go into it, because at the end of the day, I'm not a businessman. I can't sell the books. I'm just good at writing.
Correct. So thank you for bringing it up, because now that I am a publisher, I have to also weigh that.
Correct.
It's not just writing for the sake of writing. If you think that you want to publish a book, it's like you take one bucket list, but you are not going to do anything to promote and sell the books, then it's really no point lah. Because for me as a publisher, I have to make sure that whatever I invest, I have to make some back, right? And selling books in Singapore, I don't make immediate returns, you see. I always compare this to epok-epok, people sell epok-epok, the next day you make new ones, new batch, then you earn, you make new batch. But sometimes books 2 years also, I still have the stock.
Correct.
And there's some that if I didn't know that I print like 1,000 copies, and I still have stock up to this day. It's like 7-8 years already. But I still promote, I still promote slowly and slowly. Like just this year, I still am doing storytelling based on my Saga Seed book. So if you are really serious about being an author, then you have to be serious about promoting your book. And also making sure that your presence are known lah. It doesn't have to be you putting yourself, your face on all the social media. You don't have to, because there are people who just promote books for the sake of promoting books, but without putting their face. So it's okay, but you have to do it.
You have to be creative lah, right?
You have to be creative. You also have to be your own book influencer lah.
Nobody else gonna do it for you.
So when we went to Malaysia, like we have been participating in the KL International Book Fair for 2 years. So last year when we went there, one of the book publishers said, if someone sends the manuscript to me, I will check their socials first.
Oh, really?
If they have minimally like close to 100k followers, then I will publish the book for them.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, that's 100k. It's like too many. So that's why he only published certain books and for certain
Right.
people.
I think that's a business decision.
That's a
Because,
business decision,
you know,
yeah.
he wants to have at least a ready market to sell it
Yes,
to.
precisely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is very hard if you are just starting out or you don't have
Yes.
that kind of leverage.
Especially a
Even
small
I don't
market
have.
in Singapore.
Yeah.
Yes, and the market is very small in Singapore. Of course, we can try to expand to Malaysia, but we also face other challenges, right?
Yeah.
Like the cost of our book, the exchange
Correct.
rate.
If you have to look at the business side of things, if you want to sell it in Malaysia, then you got to process everything there. Then your costing will be
Probably
ringgit.
Yeah,
lower, but at
lower.
the same time, you have to have a very good partner who's willing
Correct.
to promote your books
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you were to do it there, then, you know, your cost will have to go into the costing.
Yeah. Singapore's uniquely like that.
Yeah, in all industries
Yeah,
almost,
all
right?
industries,
Almost.
yeah.
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 Because of our very
Because the last time
small
I
market.
asked you about the KL book fair, how was it? Then you said, wow, it's huge. It's
Of
over a
course.
few days.
Yes.
Because KL Book Fair is like five stories high with about 800 to 900 booths and over 10 days.
And well attended, yeah.
Of course, like millions. Of course, we can't compare to Singapore. We
Yeah.
also have a Pesta Buku Melayu Singapura coming in August. I think this is probably like third, fourth year that we're doing it. Very cozy, very small,
Small and cozy.
small and
comfy.
cozy. We used to only have 4 or 5 booths. Now we have increased to at least 10 lah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Slowly,
Slowly,
but surely.
yeah, even
Where is that gonna be?
it will be at Wisma Geylang Serai this August 16 to 17, 18.
16 16 August.
To
Okay.
18 August, yeah.
How do you make your decision? Like, you know, the kind of stories. Do you actually have like a hunch? Oh, this story maybe, you know, perhaps would
Might work,
Yeah,
is it?
might work. Yeah.
My hunch is simple lah, actually. Being in like, I mean, I sell books at Expo. I talk to teachers. I talk to children. I talk to parents. So even though some people say if we do very short stories, you're not a author. There are people who say that, and sometimes I feel like why such a feeling, right? Because to me, if I were to write a very literary based kind of story, it's not going to be read by many children in Singapore.
Correct.
So knowing the demography, knowing that how much our children master the Malay language, that's how I decide on what
I
kind
see.
of books that I will publish.
And the format and stuff.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot more people publishing picture books, but then who is publishing for the one who has grown up to primary 1 to 6?
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I look at what's there, most of the books are like, you know, black and white, no color, very boring
Yeah.
cover and text. So we decided then that we invited this author lah, Atika, because she submitted a story in one of our anthologies, and we like her story. So we invited her and say, would you like to write something longer, but still pitch it at a suitable
8, 9, 10 kind of thing.
because like even like this book we say is for like, you know, primary 3, 4,
Yeah.
but of course there are students in secondary school who
Yes.
Reading it.
who's
Yeah,
reading it
who-
and can read it. Yeah.
Maybe
so
you.
Still find it challenging.
Yeah, correct.
yes. So to me, it's like it's okay lah. I don't have to be literary based.
Yeah.
My aim is more to get our children to enjoy reading
Yeah.
Malay and find confidence reading Malay books. And I want to make Malay books more interesting and exciting for them. So that's the reason why I think my aim has always been literacy based lah. It's more to get kids reading books. So
Yeah,
it's only
more
after
than-
this book then my other book got published. But to me, I think we set a benchmark
right.
in the sense that when I got that offer to publish my chapter book, the Rahsia Haiwan Hybrid,
Yes.
which is published by another publisher, I think I actually showed them this. So like, you know, you don't use less illustration, okay? Try to have more illustration.
You ever thought of doing like a series, not like macam Nancy Drew, Famous Five?
Of course, kalau
Secret
ada funding,
Seven.
semua boleh buat.
Right.
Basically, I think Ungu Pen knows what they want, what we want to do. just give us the funding and we'll do wonders lah.
So at the end, it's still the business side of the
Yeah.
business.
So, any investors, if you're listening to this or watching, please do come forward.
Yeah.
Maria will take care of everything.
Yes, because I don't believe that the publishing is a sunset industry. Maybe, yes, I'm a new player, but I think there's always a small pie for anyone lah.
Yeah.
Even though the pie is small, but it's still enough. People, when we talk about publishing, also me at that time, only knows that I have a story, I want you to publish my book. Or you are a bookseller,
Right.
But actually behind the scene, there's a different world of publishing that maybe people don't know.
Yeah.
There's also this thing called trading of rights.
Yes.
Just like we sell books, we trade products.
The rights to print a book.
For books is the trading of rights. You can sell and buy the rights to publish in your territory or in different territories. So for example, when we went to in almost all book fairs, there will be an activity or an event called rights trading. So publishers can sign up and actually engage in like a conversation with publishers from different countries to buy and sell rights. So buy and selling rights is like, for example, this is an Indonesian book written by Indonesian and illustrated by Indonesian by an Indonesian publisher. So we actually had a conversation and we liked the book and we think it's can be suitable for our context. So we bought the rights for Malay language, for worldwide rights for Malay language. So we translate it, so we sell it, the Malay edition.
Who decide the price?
I think there is a negotiation process lah.
Okay.
Usually for the maybe established publisher, they know the price. Usually there is some price that they will tell you when they release the files to you, and then there's also the royalty fee lah, based on the price that you're going to sell in your market and the quantity that you're going to print.
So for you, then you can also do the same thing. Sell the rights.
Correct. Yes. So, but I guess we are still new lah, in that sense that I don't know what is new is the best word to describe. 9 years not new anymore,
not
right?
new, it's not new,
yeah. But I think we haven't have the clout yet that people want to buy from us lah.
Right.
So sometimes when we go to book fairs also, there's publisher who already make their business goals clear that I am only selling, I'm not buying. When we were at Malaysia book fair, people, when they see us displaying, they were like, wow, this is different from what they usually look like. But I still think that there's a lot of room for improvement because the picture book industry is just so amazing lah. I mean, in terms of quality. So I think we still have more to improve on. Yeah.
So the animations are all done.
The illustration, you mean?
Illustrations,
Yeah.
not animations. It's done by
The
person that sells
Yes,
it.
correct.
So that
the publisher.
covers the rights as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, nice illustrations.
And this book, Kejutan Sloth, won the Best Picture Book, Children's Book Award last year at Jakarta Book Fair.
Wow.
So we were like, I was shocked also, I was very
So
surprised.
you bought it before that
Yes,
award?
before that
Wow.
award.
Lucky you, if not
Yeah.
the price would have been higher. Right?
No lah, I think the price will maintain, but I think we get the good tempias lah, you know.
correct.
Of course, someone say, "Oh, you're lucky." Well, luck
It's
is
not
probably
lucky,
one thing,
Yeah.
but maybe good decision lah.
Yes,
Have a
of
good
course.
nose for stories lah.
Yeah.
The eye for
Because
it,
of
right?
your experience and
So our first time actually buying rights and the book actually
Wow,
won the
fantastic.
best.
Well done.
I'm happy for them. I'm happy for us also for making the right decision.
Yeah, I know. When you're marketing it, you can say that this
Yeah.
book won
Yes,
an
yes,
award.
we did that. We
Exactly.
did that.
Yeah.
We did that. Yeah.
I mean, I can see why the
Yes.
illustrations are really
And
good.
the author is also the illustrator.
oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yes.
Muse collaborated with Ungu Pen, right?
Yes.
Where is our the other?
Reality.
Yeah, so these two books, they are still available. Was really very fun working with Maria. She even included songs. Yeah, so everything, the recording, the music's done here.
Is it something new in the market, or there's a lot of books already with this AR?
I think no,
No.
because when we submitted a proposal, when I submitted a proposal to Lee Kuan Yew Fund for Bilingualism, it was COVID. So when it was COVID, I think in a way I foresee that digital, you might need something in
Right.
digital.
Yeah.
So I actually put funding for animation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And at the same time, I think we have another book,
Yes.
the pengembaraan team. I did ask them to include animation in, but somehow they went further to do AR.
Yeah.
So when they do AR, since they are also published under Ungu Pen, they get their own funding, but it's published under Ungu Pen. I say Ungu Pen cannot go down, right?
Yeah.
Ungu Pen must always strive to be better or same. So if you are doing AR, I have to do AR too. So I have to get the funding no matter what. So in that sense, we managed to, because my books has already, we decided we have songs and animation, but another step further is the AR. For this book, in a way that my experience in broadcasting really helped. Yeah.
How does that
Because
translate over?
when I brought this book to the Indonesian book fair and I meet some Malaysians, they were like, what was your background before this? So I told them, no wonder. If not, no one would ever thought or even
Of all
can
this,
do something like
the
this.
elements,
Yeah,
The-
because we know
rest
how
of the
animation
components.
is,
Yes,
right?
correct.
And then I'm learning something new with AR also. I'm learning also. So the time, all the different
all the
elements,
different components that you need to prepare.
Yeah, physical book is just physical book. It text illustration. When you have animation, you have music, you have voiceover, you have sound effects. You have to go into the studio to record. You have to do mixing, sweetening,
Apa mixing again?
engineering.
That's why.
So
it's
all
a
this,
whole, it's a different ball
So
game.
if you don't understand the workflow, then you don't know. You thought, it's very easy. But then if you understand, then you know, okay, this is the amount of work required to do something like
So
this.
these two books really went beyond the usual publishing of a book, storybook.
We had like people who say, someone like a journalist, Ruby, who said that this book really bring publishing of books to a new level because it's something different. And then when one of the person who helped me with the music, Sheila, she actually told the story in an international school in Malaysia. The student remarked, "Teacher, you read a book from the future."
Oh, it's really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So I see, the future is now,
This is like a hybrid book where you use their device, right?
Yes, yes. Integrated. We have QR code inside.
Correct.
So we can scan and then it goes to my YouTube platform where you can hear the songs.
Yes.
And then the songs.
I wonder what's the number, the viewership, because the last time I checked, so many from Indonesia. And it's just a song Burung Kakak Tua.
We have Indonesians, we have even India. I think I was like, okay, that's something that I still don't know.
Mystery.
Mystery.
Of the internet.
But the only issue I have, again, like I say, I'm a very literacy person. This book is meant for young children to read and understand Malay. Hence, it's not translatable to other language. Because the phonics and the alphabets is based on the Malay language. So as a business owner, if you find a manuscript, that is something you need to consider. Translatable, not translatable.
Looking again from the business side, right? If your cost is higher, then you got to look at the market that can afford your book.
But the book is affordable because we have funding.
Right.
So it's,
it
to
helps
me,
you in a way.
$18 is so affordable. And you have so many ways you can engage not just through the physical book, but through the animation, through the AR, through the songs.
How's the sales for this book?
Alhamdulillah, I would say. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you for getting us involved.
Yes. So
Yeah, looking forward to more.
Yeah,
yes,
gotta do more.
inshallah,
lah.
inshallah. I also
Anyway.
did one voiceover for
Yes.
my other book published by another publisher, right? The
Haiwan
what is
Hybrid.
it? Yes, the Haiwan
Yeah, I
Hybrid.
did some voice for that.
Which character do you play?
I was that Indonesian professor. I
Oh,
think.
you were. Oh, you were.
Yeah, since he liked to do Indonesian accent.
Oh, I haven't listened to it. Okay. During COVID also, when things suddenly just stalled, right? We
Yeah.
cannot do booth, we cannot
Yeah.
sell outside. So what do? We actually during that time it was quite the opposite for us. We had one good project that helped to sustain us for that period, and then we had a collaboration with Malaysia in that sense that it's a co-publishing project. So this is one of the title. It's called Perigi Kisah Raden Mas Ayu. So it's like because the book has to cater to both countries.
Right.
So how do you want to do that, right? So this story, I make these two kids. They come from Singapore and then go to
Go back
JB
Malaysia,
lah.
kampung
JB,
lah.
on a day trip, meet their tok nga and nik nga.
Okay.
So at the same time, this story also talk about certain, because if I were to say the kids see Perigi in Singapore,
Doesn't make sense lah.
doesn't make
Yeah.
sense, right? A
Correct.
well in Singapore, so they
Yeah,
go
yeah.
JB lah. And then because the story of Radim Masayu has something to do with a well.
Oh,
Yeah. And this book also, I wrote it in a way that you can sing it in syair format.
Syair, right?
Yeah.
Okay, boleh kita dengar sikit?
Okay, kita cuba.
Dia tulis Arab dah.
Okay. Inilah kisah dari tanah Jawa, Pangeran Agung nama Baginda, bernikah dengan penari istana, tanpa restu kerabat diraja. So this is one of the books. The other one that I wrote is Pisang, Kisah Singapura dilanggar Todak, or Kisah Todak menyerang Singapura.
Okay.
And then we also have a third book by another author, Syaril Samri, and he wrote Lepiong and Cepiong mencari makan.
Cepiong, cepiong.
Yeah, so it's quite cute lah. So there's a twin boys,
Right.
Lepiong, Cepiong.
Itu
and
nama budak.
and nama budak because
Why are we
Syaril
speaking
is
in Malay?
Just because, yeah.
because I was reading.
right. Switch code.
Switch code lah. So he is a founder of Pantonism. So he does a lot of pantone. So when he did that story, it has a bit of rhyme lah. A bit of like
okay.
piong piong piong.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a
three
collaboration
titles
with a Malaysian publisher.
Yes, correct.
So how is it going? Like on the other side, did they?
On the other side, they say that some of the books worked well, some didn't. But then it was okay lah. For us, it was okay because in the end we buy back some of the books to be sold here, because here we already sold our
The first print.
in a way our first print. So we just bought over some of the books from them. At the same time, after COVID was over, I think they got busy. So we were supposed to co-publish more, but they got busy when business came back. So we decided, okay lah, never mind lah. You just move forward with your business. Yeah.
But I think it's a very good, viable approach. Right, when you have two markets to look at now,
Correct.
It's just that the content has to be
Balance.
lah
Yes.
for both
Yes.
sides.
Yes.
Right? That's a good idea, right? Like Singaporeans go to Malaysia. It's based on
Yeah lah,
true
it's-
story.
I know.
A lot of people do that, right?
Yeah, a lot of
Like
people
they
do that. Yeah.
Every year go
But I
back.
guess that for sometimes what we need to know is that Malaysian standard of Malay is definitely a lot higher than us, right?
Correct.
So like this book, even if I thought it's meant for preschoolers, it's not lah. It's actually more for older kids, because to read in syair, kan, you need someone who is trained lah also. But also surprisingly, I've been to Malaysia and I've spoke to some people. The demographics are also not, I wouldn't say changing lah, but there are some segments of the community in Malaysia that are not speaking Malay very well as well.
Oh.
It's happening too there.
I see.
Yeah.
It's just a city kind of phenomenon.
Probably
right?
city,
Yeah.
international schools, maybe non-Malays who just need that language to pass
Yeah.
their exam,
Exam
but doesn't
scores.
need to actually use it. Yeah.
Pretty-
So my most recent books, which I just launched this year at the KL International Book Fair, is a series of 5 titles. So it's called Siri Kawan Haiwan.
Siri Kawan Haiwan. Okay.
Animal Friends.
Animal Friends.
So this series, the 5 books is based on A-E-I-O-U. So the letter A, vowels. So again, like I say, my calling now is really for literacy-based learning. And I decided to do the books in 2 formats, one big book and one small book.
Oh,
So
seems
the
like
big-
that's the popular format now, the big book.
I'm not too sure whether it's popular, but I think it's now very important for schools to have big books lah.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have that many contemporary big books. So I'm trying to start some to see whether there would be more intake for such books lah. But at the moment, I think still pretty slow. Maybe the schools doesn't know it exists yet, so we still have to do more promotion. But like I said, I think recently also there's a newspaper article, right, that our ex-president, Madam Halimah, says that we need to do more to encourage
He sent her
our...
this. Who knows, she'll help you out. Eh,
Yeah.
very nice.
Promote.
The
Yes.
illustrations
Yeah.
very good. Very
Yes.
Uh,
And I also
attractive.
most of my illustrators are also from all over the world lah, in that sense. So this is an Indonesian illustrator.
No wonder.
Yeah. It's also important that you know what you want and you
Correct.
give the
You give
correct
the
brief.
direction,
Yes.
yeah.
And you also need to look at their portfolio lah, if that is the style that you want.
and good size. And this is
Yeah.
for age what? 8, 9 for
This
Singapore.
I want it to target for preschoolers. So it's 4 to 6.
Preschoolers.
Yeah.
Wow, preschoolers.
I'm doing workshop for children for 4 to 6. I'm using these books now.
If you notice, Ungu Pan's fonts is a special font.
Oh, is it?
Mainly for dyslexia kids. Yeah.
It's not only that, you notice that for books this size, the edges are rounded.
Yeah, around the.
No sharp edges,
No sharp edges for
Yeah,
this
so it's
size.
very safe for your children.
Inshallah. So I think we put a lot of thought. At one time also we asked for soya-based ink. And it's not because we want to waste food, but because it's safe. Especially if young children who put books into their mouth, soya-based inks are safe.
Right.
Because it's a food dye.
So those old inks not safe.
The old inks, if it's
Feeding also.
chemical, it's not safe. Of course, it's okay in small quantities
quantity,
lah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if you
yeah.
want to eat books,
I'm not
then it's
supposed
not
to eating
safe.
books lah, right?
Do you eat books? Maybe if you eat books, then you become more intelligent. I don't know. Yeah.
It's good. This one is a
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing that sometimes a book publisher will go for is also the sustainable paper. So there is a sign, but
so troublesome these days.
it's not troublesome, but I think it's how the world is
Sustainability.
moving,
Yeah.
If you don't try to use material from sustainable sources, then you are killing the forest, So, but since we don't have money, that much money, because to get that logo is actually a bit more expensive.
Correct. All
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
labels.
So, but then most of the printers say that they do use paper, but because they didn't buy the logo, we cannot put the logo in.
Yeah.
So another way, what I have done in the last a few years back is actually to plant trees. I actually donated to a company to plant trees. I think that's my CSR lah.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Maria. That was really, really, really very valuable, actually. And again, thank you for collaborating with Muse. So we hope to see you again for the next episode of Muse Talks. Bye bye. Thank you.